afternoon, everyone. We have a saying around here that if you don't get national security right, the rest is just conversation. And that's certainly true with respect to some of the issues that we have in front of us right now. The FISA legislation, which is pending here in the United States Senate, is critical to keeping this country safe and secure for Americans. And just to put a fine point on that, if you look at how effective FISA has been, it has stopped numerous terrorist attacks. It has been used in 90% of the CIA's synthetic drug disruptions. So in other words, these drug busts that you keep reading about, a lot of that originates with information derived from the 702 process. So it's very, very concerning when you have the Democrats here in the United States Senate essentially saying that we are not interested in reauthorizing this program, which will go dark at midnight on Friday if we don't take action. And it would be alarming under any circumstance, but it's especially alarming now given the fact that we are heading into a time where the U.S. starts hosting the World Cup, for example. We've got all kinds of 250th anniversary celebrations coming up here in the not too distant future. And you've got a program that has a proven record when it comes to keeping this country safe that is at risk because Democrats here in the United States Senate have decided to block vote against it. That is a very dangerous proposition. It puts Americans at risk. And it started with the air traffic control, and then it was border security, the whole Department of Homeland Security. You go right down the list of all these agencies the Democrats have decided not to fund. They truly are the party of open borders, defund the police, sanctuary cities, and unfortunately right now defunding the 702 program, which is essential to America's national security interests. So Republicans are going to do everything we can to keep this program on track, but obviously we're going to need some help from Democrats in order to get it across the finish line, and I certainly hope that they put the nation's national security interests ahead of their Trump derangement syndrome, which seems to be what's driving the decisions that they're making here on a daily basis. Questions?
President Trump and his allies have renewed their calls to fire the parliamentarian and pass the SAVE Act. You've been very clear as to why the SAVE Act doesn't have votes to pass and why firing the parliamentarian will create problems here. But are you worried that if you don't do what the president wants, that he's going to criticize your leadership or perhaps withdraw support for your leadership?
That could happen. Look, and it's a well-known fact around here. Sometimes perhaps not fully grasp around the country, but anybody who follows this process closely knows that we don't have the votes. And the only way that you could figure out a way to get the votes, and even in that case, the Save America Act didn't even get 50 votes last week on the floor of the Senate, but even if you confine it to just the two issues of photo ID and citizenship in order to register to vote, on those two issues, it takes 60 votes in the Senate. The only way you could get there is to undo or get rid of the legislative filibuster, and there aren't even close to the votes here in the United States Senate in order to achieve that. So it's an issue we all agree on. We're all for it, and we've all voted that way, but it's not something that we're going to be able to get done absent having an election and electing some more Republicans.
You said the administration had the authority to conduct this war in Iran, but it's been over 3 months. Thousands of troops are stationed in the area, and now the president is hinting at restarting military operations. So are senators, Republicans on the sidelines here?
Well, I think that senators tend to be kept in the loop on what the administration is doing for the most part. I think sometimes you have to make decisions in real time that have national security implications, and so I don't expect we're going to hear every single move that's made by the administration, but I do think what we want to see is them succeed, and I think right now is a critical juncture in terms of the president's negotiations with the Iranians, and so I hope at least that our members are inclined to continue to support the administration's efforts to strike a deal there that is good not only for our country but for our allies in the region, and frankly for that matter for the whole world. A nuclear Iran is not something that is I don't think anything that anybody on this planet wants to have to deal with. So I hope that the steps the administration has taken, our war planners are taking, continue to make headway toward ensuring that Iran never has a nuclear capability, and that in the near term at least, as they plan around ensuring that doesn't happen, that we do everything we can to get the Strait of Hormuz open.
Leader, then another security issue, China. Is the president giving too much leverage, do you think, to China's President Xi by delaying arms sales to Taiwan and saying it's a great negotiating or bargaining chip? And do you plan to meet later this week with Taiwan's opposition leader on the arms sale issue, which as you know, the opposition party has been very reluctant to fund?
Right. I don't have a meeting scheduled this week, but I am very supportive of doing everything we can to make Taiwan as prickly as possible when it comes to their own being able to defend themselves against Chinese aggression there. So if there are opportunities that we have to do that, I certainly support that. Let my colleagues speak for themselves, but my view is that we want to do everything we can to defend Taiwan against Chinese aggression.
Leader, the House passed Tim Burkett's bill to defund the Taliban, I think it was 11 months ago. Every week that goes by, they get another $40 million. What do the American people expect to see vote on this, and do you expect it to pass?
I don't know when. We don't have that currently on the schedule here. You said it's passed in the House? Okay, I have not seen it. If it's come over from the House, that's something that we consider putting on the floor at this point.
Leader Thune, are you pushing the White House to nominate a permanent DNI, and do you think that they will to help unjam up this situation with Democrats?
We're encouraging it. At least I am. I think that getting some certainty and closure on that issue about who that might be will certainly play an important role in unlocking the support that we need to get FISA done. We've got a midnight Friday deadline now. The clock is ticking. And obviously, as I said before, I think it's an incredibly irresponsible position for the Democrats to take, given the fact that Chairman Cotton, Chairman Grassley, and others have worked with Democrats in both the House and the Senate on a package that is full of reforms. This is a FISA reauthorization that includes reforms put in the House that have been added to by the Senate, all of which will make the program, we think, stronger and should have broad bipartisan support on the floor, which it did. And I don't think that having a temporary person in that position should in any way detract from the overriding objective, and that is to ensure that FISA gets reauthorized and that those important intelligence gathering tools are available to our intelligence community to keep this country safe.
Have Democrats signaled that they will support FISA if someone is named?
I don't know the answer to that. My assumption is I hope they will. And I'm not sure, right now it seems to me at least that's a conversation that's happening between Senate Democrats and the White House. We clearly want to get this on the floor and get it passed. As I said, Senator Cotton and others have worked in a bipartisan fashion on a reforms package, which really these issues should not be connected, because they're really not. And this package of legislative reforms that's been worked on for some time in a bipartisan, bicameral way and basis, ought to be able to move across the floor, and this other issue can be dealt with separately. But if the Democrats continue to try and link them, it's going to be up to them and the White House to figure out how we proceed. Thank you.
Supporters the only people who shouldn't be able to get damages from their government